Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain with nothing in your hands. No money, no power, no resources. All you have is a dream in your heart and a fire in your spirit. People would turn back, but a few choose to climb anyway. And those few are the ones who change the world. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. From childhood, society conditions us to avoid mistakes at all costs. In school, a wrong answer is marked with red ink. In workplaces, an error can lead to criticism. And in personal life, mistakes can sometimes bring embarrassment or shame. Because of this, many people grow up believing that failure is something to fear, something to escape, worse, something that defines their worth. But the truth is the exact opposite. Failure is not a signal that you are not capable. It is evidence that you are trying. It is proof that you are pushing your limits, moving beyond comfort, and engaging with the real challenges that life presents. Success cannot exist without failure, because it is failure that sharpens your mind, toughens your spirit, and teaches you lessons that no textbook or lecture can ever offer. Think about the first time a child learns to walk. The child does not simply stand up one day and walk perfectly across the room. They wobble, they fall, they cry, and then they get back up again. Each fall is not a defeat, it is a lesson. The body learns balance, the brain adjusts coordination, the muscles adapt, and eventually, step by step, walking becomes possible. If the child quit after the first fall, they would never learn. The same principle follows us into adulthood, but unlike children, adults are more afraid of failure because we attach it to our identity. A child falls and no one calls them a failure. An adult stumbles in business or in life, and suddenly the label, failure, feels permanent. That mindset kills potential before it can grow. Failure teaches more than success ever will. Success often makes us comfortable, sometimes even arrogant, while failure humbles us and forces us to reflect. When you fail, you are confronted with reality. You see your weaknesses, your blind spots, your miscalculations, and even your overconfidence. Failure is like a mirror. It shows you not what you wish to see, but what you need to see. And if you are wise, you use that mirror not to feel ashamed, but to adjust, to improve, and to strengthen yourself. Many people avoid failure because they do not want to feel pain. What they do not realize is that the pain of failure is temporary, while the wisdom it leaves behind is permanent. History is full of examples of people who embraced failure as their teacher. Every great innovator, entrepreneur, artist, and leader has faced countless rejections before achieving recognition. They were told their ideas would not work, their skills were not good enough, or their dreams were impossible. Yet every rejection gave them insight into what to improve. The light bulb was not invented in a single attempt, and masterpieces of literature were often rejected by publishers before they became classics. Those who succeeded were not necessarily more talented than others. They were more willing to fail, more willing to endure setbacks, and more willing to learn from every defeat. Failure also builds resilience. Life is not a straight path. It is full of unpredictable obstacles, sudden detours, and unexpected storms. If you are terrified of failure, every setback will feel like the end of the world. If you see failure as a natural part of the journey, you begin to treat it differently. Asking, why me? You start asking, what can I learn here? That shift in perspective changes everything. Resilience is not about being immune to pain or disappointment. It is about being able to face it, process it, and still keep moving forward. Failure provides the training ground for resilience, because every time you fall and rise again, you become mentally tougher and emotionally stronger. A hidden gift of failure is humility. Success can sometimes inflate the ego, making people believe that they are infallible. But failure reminds us that we are human, that we are still learning, and that we must remain grounded. Humility is essential for growth because a proud person resists feedback, ignores criticism, and refuses to change. A humble person listens, adapts, and evolves. When failure strips away arrogance, it creates space for humility, and humility opens the door to true wisdom. Many leaders who inspire the world today are admired not only for their achievements but for their humility, which was often shaped by the failures they endured. Failure also sparks creativity. When a plan fails, you are forced to think differently. You cannot simply repeat the same action and expect a new result. This pressure pushes your mind to innovate, to explore alternatives, and to develop new strategies. Many of the world's greatest breakthroughs were born from failed attempts. Scientists, for example, often stumble upon discoveries by accident while pursuing something else entirely. Entrepreneurs pivot their businesses into more successful directions only after their first models collapse. In these moments, failure is not an enemy, but a guide pointing you toward a better path. The fear of failure is often worse than failure itself. People build scenarios in their minds where one mistake will ruin everything, where one rejection will mean permanent humiliation, where one loss will close all future opportunities. In reality, most failures are far less destructive than we imagine. They may slow us down, they may sting our pride, but they rarely destroy us. What destroys dreams is not failure, the refusal to try again. Failure closes some doors, but always opens others, and it is up to us to notice them. The most dangerous thing is not falling, staying down after the fall. Failure also deepens empathy. When you have struggled, when you have been rejected, when you have felt the pain of falling short, you become more understanding of others who go through the same. This empathy makes you a better teammate, a better leader, a better friend, and a better human being. Success without failure can sometimes breed arrogance and judgment, but success that is shaped by failure carries compassion. You know how hard the road is, and that makes you respect the journey of others. At its core, failure is simply feedback. It is information telling you that the current method is not working, something needs to change, that you need to grow. If you treat failure as final, you will stop moving. But if you treat it as feedback, you keep improving. Think of failure as life's most honest teacher. It does not flatter you. It does not comfort you. It does not protect your ego. It tells you directly what is wrong. Sometimes that truth hurts. But in that truth lies the seed of your future success. Those who run from it remain stuck, while those who embrace it move forward. The people who achieve the most are not those who never fail, but those who fail the most and learn the fastest. They build their strength from scars, their wisdom from mistakes, and their growth from pain. Every failure becomes a stepping stone, each one bringing them closer to the life they envision. They may not look fearless. They are courageous because courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to keep going despite fear. When people think about success, the first things that often come to mind are money, connections, education, or access to powerful tools and opportunities. These resources are important, no doubt. They are not the deciding factor. If resources alone guaranteed success, then every rich person's child would automatically become a world-changing leader. Every well-funded project would always succeed, and every person with the best tools would be at the top. Reality proves otherwise. The truth is that vision is far greater than resources, because vision creates direction, fuels determination, and attracts opportunities that resources alone cannot buy. A clear vision is like a compass that guides you through uncharted territory. Without it, resources become wasted. With it, even limited means can achieve extraordinary results. Vision begins with imagination, the ability to see something that does not yet exist. It is the art of looking beyond the present struggles, the current limitations, and the temporary obstacles, and instead focusing on what could be built in the future. Many of the greatest achievements in human history started with people who had almost nothing but an idea. They did not begin with wealth, influence, or a large team. They began with belief. This is what makes vision so powerful. It does not depend on external possessions, but on internal conviction. Resources may run out. Vision sustains you even when everything else seems empty. Resources are tools, but tools are useless without a plan. You can give two people the same amount of money, the same set of opportunities, and the same environment, yet one may create something extraordinary while the other wastes it all. The difference lies in vision. A person with vision knows where they are heading, so they use resources strategically. They do not spend blindly, they allocate with purpose. Person without vision has no clear destination, so even if they have resources, they scatter their efforts and lose their focus. Vision is like a lighthouse in the storm, keeping the ship from drifting aimlessly. Without that guiding light, even a well-equipped ship can crash into the rocks. When resources are scarce, vision becomes even more important. Limitations can feel frustrating, but they also force creativity. When you cannot afford luxury, you are pushed to innovate. When you cannot rely on external help, you are forced to sharpen your own skills. Many entrepreneurs and innovators began with almost nothing but an idea in their minds. They had no money, no big team, and sometimes even faced rejection from everyone around them. Yet they pressed on because their vision was stronger than their obstacles. Their clarity of purpose attracted the right people at the right time, and slowly resources began to follow. This is the hidden law of success. Resources chase vision the other way around. Vision also provides resilience when challenges arise. Every meaningful journey has setbacks. If you rely only on resources, then when money dries up or support disappears, your motivation collapses. But if you have a strong vision, you keep moving because the dream is larger than the difficulty. Vision is like fire. It keeps burning even when the winds of adversity blow. That fire pushes you to wake up early, to work late, to try again after rejection, to find another path when one door closes. Resources can be lost in a day, but vision, once rooted deeply, cannot be taken away. Vision inspires others. People are not drawn to money alone, they are drawn to meaning. If you can share a vision that excites them, they will join you, sometimes even without being paid much at first. History is full of movements and organizations that began with almost no funding but grew because the vision captured people's hearts. Volunteers, partners, and investors appeared not because of resources, but because they wanted to be part of a bigger picture. A leader with vision can motivate a team to sacrifice, to innovate, to persist even in the toughest of times. This is why vision is more powerful than money. It taps into human passion, and passion builds empires. Vision is also what transforms ordinary resources into extraordinary results. Two people can look at the same opportunity, and one sees only its limits, while the other sees its potential. The difference is vision. Vision allows you to see value where others see nothing. It allows you to turn a small piece of land into a thriving farm, a simple idea into a billion-dollar company, a neglected community into a hub of opportunity. Without vision, resources are static. With vision, even the smallest resource multiplies in value. This ability to see beyond the obvious is what separates leaders from followers. Another reason vision outweighs resources is that resources can change hands quickly. Someone can inherit wealth, someone can win the lottery, someone can gain connections through family or luck, but vision cannot be handed down so easily. It must be developed within. That is why people with resources but without vision often lose them quickly, while those with vision but without resources often find ways to create wealth and influence over time. Vision is sustainable. It grows as you grow. Resources without vision eventually fade away. Vision gives meaning to sacrifice. Many journeys require years of hard work with little immediate reward. Without vision, the struggle feels meaningless, and people give up. With vision, the same struggle becomes a meaningful investment in the future. Vision turns pain into purpose. It allows people to endure hardships because they know those hardships are leading somewhere. Students study for years because they have a vision of the career they want. Athletes train endlessly because they have a vision of victory. Entrepreneurs work sleepless nights because they have a vision of building something new. It is vision that makes the difference between giving up and persevering. Sometimes people confuse vision with dreams. Dreams are what you see when your eyes are closed. Vision is what you build when your eyes are open. Vision is not just about wishing, it is about seeing a possibility so clearly that it drives action. Resources may make action easier. Vision makes action meaningful. You can have all the resources in the world, but without vision, you will wander aimlessly. On the other hand, with vision, you will find ways to act even if resources are limited. Vision transforms dreams into strategy, and strategy attracts the resources necessary to succeed. What is most fascinating about vision is its power to create resources that did not exist before. Every invention, every company, every social movement is evidence of this. Before the first airplane, there were no airplanes to buy. Before the first smartphone, there were no smartphones to use. Before the first great leaders cast their vision, there were no organizations or followers waiting. These things were created because someone saw what others did not. Their vision pulled resources out of imagination and into reality. In this sense, vision is not only greater than resources, it is the source of resources themselves. There is a common belief that success belongs to the most talented, intelligent, or the most gifted people. We admire athletes with natural abilities, entrepreneurs with sharp minds, or artists with extraordinary creativity, and we assume that talent is the deciding factor that separates winners from the rest. But history and experience prove something very different. Talent can give you an early advantage, but it is persistence that determines who stays in the race long enough to reach the finish line. Talent may open the door. Persistence is what allows you to walk through it again and again until you achieve what you desire. The truth is, persistence consistently outperforms talent, because talent without effort is wasted potential, while persistence without talent still leads to growth. When you look closely at people who reach great heights, you realize that most of them were not the most talented in the beginning. They were simply the ones who kept showing up. They practiced longer, they worked harder, and they refused to quit when others gave up. Persistence is about discipline, consistency, and resilience. It is the act of choosing to continue even when motivation fades, even when the road is long, even when the results are invisible. Talent is glamorous because it looks effortless, but persistence is powerful because it survives effort. Anyone can be motivated for a day or a week, but persistence is motivation extended over years. It is what makes average individuals achieve extraordinary things. Talent often creates overconfidence. People who rely only on natural gifts sometimes believe that they do not need to work as hard, that their ability alone will carry them. This works for a while, but eventually they encounter someone with less talent but greater persistence. The persistent person practices when the talented one rests, studies when the gifted one assumes they already know enough, and prepares when the natural performer believes instinct is enough. Over time, persistence compounds like interest. Hours of practice turn into mastery, small improvements add up to big results, and habits built through consistency create unstoppable momentum. Talent without persistence fades. Persistence without talent grows. The reason persistence is so powerful is that it turns failure into fuel. Talent cannot protect anyone from failure. Even the most gifted people stumble, get rejected, or fall short. What separates those who succeed is not whether they fail, but how they respond. Persistent people see failure as temporary, as feedback, as part of the process. They do not let rejection define them. They try again, they adjust, and they keep moving. Every attempt brings new knowledge. Every setback brings new resilience, and every obstacle sharpens their determination. Talent might help you succeed when things go smoothly. Persistence ensures you continue when things go wrong. Persistence also creates reliability. A person who keeps showing up day after day builds trust in themselves and in others. Employers, teammates, and partners know that a persistent individual will finish what they start, that they will not give up when projects become difficult, and that they can be counted on. Talent may win admiration, but persistence wins respect. People trust those who endure because they know that consistency delivers results. Long run, reliability matters more than brilliance because brilliance can be fleeting, but reliability is dependable. Another aspect of persistence is patience. Success rarely arrives quickly. Most meaningful goals take years of hard work before visible rewards appear. Talent may produce quick wins, but persistence produces lasting success. Who persist understand the long game. They are willing to sacrifice immediate comfort for future rewards, willing to keep improving day after day without recognition, and willing to endure boredom and routine in pursuit of mastery. This patience separates them from those who chase shortcuts or give up when results take too long. Persistence builds patience, and patience builds greatness. There is also a psychological strength in persistence. Every time you choose to continue despite difficulties, you build mental toughness. This toughness is like a muscle that strengthens with repetition. Persistent people are not immune to frustration or fatigue. They learn to push through it. They develop the ability to control their emotions, to manage their doubts, and to silence the inner voice that says, "Stop." Talent does not build toughness, persistence does. And in the real world, toughness often matters more than talent. Life is not a smooth path, but a series of trials. The persistent mindset allows you to face these trials with courage. Persistence also sparks growth. When you keep going, you keep learning. Talent can stagnate if it is not challenged, but persistence ensures continuous development. Each day of consistent effort adds to your skills, expands your knowledge, and deepens your experience. Over time, the persistent person surpasses the talented one simply by accumulating more practice, more lessons, more resilience. Persistence transforms potential into progress. It is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Beauty of persistence is that it is accessible to everyone. Not everyone is born with extraordinary talent, but everyone has the ability to persist. Persistence is a choice, a decision made every day to keep moving forward. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need to be the smartest or the fastest. And you do not need to start ahead. You need is the will to continue, the discipline to remain consistent, and the belief that effort will pay off. Persistence equalizes the playing field because while talent is a gift, persistence is available to all. Stories of persistence are everywhere. Athletes who were told they were not good enough trained harder than anyone else. Writers whose manuscripts were rejected dozens of times before finally being published. Innovators who faced repeated failures before creating world-changing inventions. Their persistence mattered more than their initial skill. They succeeded not because they never failed, but because they never stopped trying. Their examples remind us that persistence is not just a trait, but a strategy that anyone can adopt. Talent might set the starting line, but persistence determines the finish line. Talent can win in the short term, but persistence wins in the long term. Talent is celebrated at the beginning, persistence is honored at the end. And in the journey of success, it is not the first step that matters most, but the last step. The last step can only be taken by those who never gave up along the way. My friends, success is not reserved for the most talented or the most privileged. It belongs to those who dare to fail, those who dare to dream, and those who dare to persist. If you can learn from your failures instead of fearing them, if you can hold on to your vision even when resources are scarce, and if you can keep walking when others quit, no obstacle can stop you. Success is not about being lucky, it is about being relentless. So, go forward with courage, hold on to your vision, and never give up, because the world belongs to those who refuse to stop climbing.